This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
Have you ever come across a story that just completely changes how you think about love, about sacrifice? Well, today we're going to dive into this really powerful old parable. It's about a challenge, a test that reveals this profound truth about what we're worth and maybe more importantly, what we should expect from other people. So let's get into the parable of the 100-day test.
Okay, so I want you to just imagine this for a second. You've dedicated yourself to a nearly impossible goal for 99 days and 23 hours. That is pure, non-stop commitment. You are literally 1 hour away from getting everything you've ever dreamed of. And then, you just walk away.
Right? That's the big question here, the central mystery of this whole story. It makes no sense on the surface. I mean, to fail right at the finish line? But here's the twist. As we're about to find out, her decision wasn't a failure at all. It was actually her biggest victory. And we're going to break down exactly why.
So let's jump right to the end of the story first. Picture this. It's the 100th day. The whole kingdom is out there. They're counting down the minutes. At 11 a.m., just 60 minutes before she's supposed to become queen, this incredibly tough woman, she just stands up, gives the king this one long, sad look, and leaves. To really get why she did that, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. You see, this whole thing kicked off with a really bold deal between two people from totally different worlds. There was a king searching for his queen, and then there was a woman who had, well, pretty much nothing to offer him except her love.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this contrast. The king, right? He'd seen all the richest, most beautiful women in the land, and nobody impressed him. Then this beggar woman comes along. She has no money, no status, just what she called her great love for him. So you've got him, who has everything and is offering nothing, and her, who has nothing but is willing to give everything.
And wow, what an offer it was. She came up with this unbelievable challenge herself. She said she would survive for 100 days on his balcony, exposed to the rain, the sun, the cold, with barely any food or water. If she could pull it off, he'd marry her. And the king, he was intrigued and accepted. He probably thought, hey, any woman who can do that really would deserve to be a queen.
And so it began, her brutal, grueling ordeal. Day after day, she faced these unimaginable hardships. But the most important part of this story isn't just what she went through. It's how the king watched her go through it.
For 20 days, she was pummeled by storms. After 50 days, she was literally fainting from hunger. By day 90, she was sick, weak, just shivering from the bone-chilling cold. And through all of this, what was the king doing? Well, from his nice, warm, comfortable room, he'd sometimes peek out the window, see her suffering, and just give her an encouraging thumbs up. That's it, a thumbs up.
And you gotta remember, the stakes were super high. This wasn't some private bet. The entire kingdom was watching this unfold. They were cheering her on, celebrating her resilience. Everyone was convinced they were about to get their new queen. They were counting down the hours right along with her, which makes what she did next even more stunning.
Okay, so let's get to that moment of truth. Why on earth did she quit? The answer finally came out when she got home, and her father asked her the one question that was on everybody's mind. Yeah, her dad, just as confused as everyone else, just asked her point blank, why? Why did you give up on your dream? And her answer? Her answer explains everything. Not just about the king, but about the exact moment she finally understood her own value.
Her explanation starts with this really simple but absolutely devastating fact. Her pain wasn't a secret. He knew. He was completely aware of her struggle. Every single day, he saw everything she was putting herself through. For him.
And this right here is the next layer of her big realization. His response to seeing her suffer wasn't to offer a blanket or a piece of bread or even just a kind word. Nope, it was just a signal that she should keep going, to continue sacrificing herself to win his prize.
So here's the heart of it. The whole time, she wasn't just waiting for the 100 days to be over. She was waiting for a sign, any sign of kindness, a small gesture to show that he saw her as a human being, not just some player in a game he was watching. And that sign never came.
And that realization led to her powerful conclusion. She understood that a person so selfish, so blind to her pain, so unwilling to offer even the smallest comfort, well, he just wasn't worthy of her great love. So her leaving wasn't about giving up on a dream. It was about waking up and finally choosing herself.
You know, this story isn't really just about a king and a beggar woman. It's a huge lesson in self-worth that is so relevant to our own lives, to our own relationships. It teaches us to pay less attention to the big, grand promises and a lot more attention to the small, everyday actions.
And this is the ultimate takeaway right here. The woman was willing to do the impossible for the king. But in 99 days and 23 hours, he wasn't willing to do even the simplest, most possible thing for her. This quote just sums up the whole lesson perfectly. Save your biggest efforts for people who are willing to meet you halfway.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. I mean, the woman's endurance was incredible, a true show of strength, until she realized it was all for the wrong reason. So, in our own lives, how do we tell the difference? When is pushing through a sign of strength, and when is it just us refusing to see a painful truth about someone who maybe doesn't deserve our sacrifice in the first place?